Hello and welcome to a newest video. Today we'll take a look at the Russification, Manifest of February, the death of Nikolai Bobrikov, and the parliamentary elections. The Russian Tsar saw how Swedish Finland still was and was not happy. It was time to start a Russification, meaning a series of changes to bring Finland closer to Russia and further away from Sweden. With the rise of the German Empire, Russia felt threatened. Also, other nations like Japan and United Kingdom were improving both financially and militarily. Finland was also a strategic buffer to protect Russia from a possible attack from the west. In Russia, the admiration of Slavs was at rise. The Russian Tsar wanted to unite all Slavic nations under the Russian rule. With Finland having its own currency, parliament and language, Russians did not feel home when visiting Finland. It was more like a foreign country. Previously, Finland had its own postal service, but with the Russification, the Finnish postal service was shut down in 1890, and Finns would have to use the Russian postal services. Finnish stamps were no longer valid and you needed Russian ones. The Tsar also tried to unite Finland to Russia by removing the Finnish mark. This never ended up happening though. In 1899, Russification hit hard with the Manifest of February. Finland would lose the power to have its own laws. The whole Russian nation would be united under one law. This marked the beginning of the so-called oppression period. Finns saw this change as a violation of their rights. Nikolai Bobrikov was named the General Governor of Finland to oversee the changes happening in Finland. This marked the start of heavy anti-Russian censorship. Finns were mad. They did not see the problem being the Tsar but his assistants who had poisoned his mind. Finns quickly started to collect names to send the Tsar asking for a withdrawal of the manifest. This list quickly had 500,000 names on it, and it was sent to the Tsar. The truth about the Tsar quickly became reality for the Finns though. As well, when the Tsar decided to not take even a look at the list, logically also not withdrawing his changes. Finland was quickly divided into two. The people who saw it better to obey the Tsar and those who saw that the Tsar was making illegal decisions that violated the rights that were set for Finland at the start of the autonomy. Mostly Finns were passive-aggressive, which led into many officials being fired by Nikolai Bobrikov. Eugen Schauman is a name that is written in Finnish history books for extreme activism. In 1904, Schauman ambushed Nikolai Bobrikov at the staircase. Schauman first shot Bobrikov and then himself, becoming a legend amongst Finns. Many admired his actions. Many like Lennart Hohenthal, who had also planned shooting Bobrikov. Lennart did not get to perform his main plan, but he had a plan B as well. He shot Eliel Soininen, who was in charge of overseeing the parliament and its legality. Eliel's death did not gain as much publicity as Bobrikov's, and Lennart Hohenthal never achieved the same fame that Schauman did. Lennart also did not shoot himself and spent the rest of his life in prison. 1904, Russia loses the war against Japan, which caused displeasure amongst the people, and the Tsar receives lots of criticism. There were a lot of worker strikes in Russia at the time due to the war. 1905, the Tsar finally agrees to make changes by giving more power to the people. Now also most Russians were allowed to vote. Even though these changes were made, much did not change amongst the poor in Russia. In 1906, the Finnish parliament was rebuilt and every adult citizen was allowed to vote, no matter of gender or wealth. The Russification of Finland had come to an end. It was rare that rich and poor both had only one vote. Usually in the past, rich person's vote was more important and counted as more than a poor person's vote. In Finland, only Finns and Russians were allowed to vote, and you had to be over the age of 24. Before these changes, only the top 30% were allowed to vote. The first parliamentary elections were held in 1907, where the Finnish Social Democrats got majority of the votes. The second most was the Finnish party that wanted to obey the Tsar, and Young Finnish Party who saw Tsar's oppression as legal. Russia had lost a lot of land in wars, so the Finnish land became even more valuable as a buffer. 1908, Russia restarts the Russification plans that they ended 4 years ago. The Tsar disbanded the Finnish parliament multiple times, making decision-making very hard. 1912, Russians were seen as equal fit to join Finnish parliament compared to Finns. During the First World War all the way up to 1917, Russian Tsar kept up the Russification when it finally got to an end due to the Russian Revolution.